Good morning, old Joe here. I'm sitting out on the porch with my coffee, watching the mist rise over the hills. Been up since about 4:30. That's pretty normal for me these days. When you get to my age, sleep doesn't come as easily as it used to. But that's okay. It gives me time to think. And this morning, I've been thinking about something that's been sitting heavy on my heart for a while now. Something I wish someone had told me when I was younger. Would have saved me a lot of pain, a lot of confusion, a lot of nights wondering what I did wrong. I want to talk to you today about friendships. More specifically, I want to talk to you about why most of your friendships aren't meant to last forever, and why that's not just okay, it's actually how it's supposed to be. Now, I know that might sound harsh, might even sound a little cold coming from an old man on a porch. But stick with me here, because what I'm about to share with you is something I learned the hard way. Through lost friendships, through betrayals, through people I thought would be in my life forever who just weren't. And through all that pain, I learned something that changed how I look at relationships entirely. You don't need 100 friends. You don't even need 10. What you need is two or three people who really know you, who really see you, who stick around when things get hard. Everything else is just noise. So grab your coffee, settle in, because we're going to talk about something most people are too afraid to admit out loud. Let's get into it. When I was a kid, I had this idea in my head about what friendship was supposed to look like. I got it from movies, I guess, from TV shows, from all those stories about groups of friends who stay together their whole lives, who grow old together, who are there for every birthday, every graduation, every major life moment, the gang that never splits up. And I believed that. I really did. I thought if I was a good enough friend, if I was loyal enough, kind enough, available enough, then my friendships would last forever. So I worked at it. I showed up. I was there when people needed me. I remembered birthdays. I made time. I invested. And you know what happened? People left anyway. Not all at once. Not with big dramatic blow ups. Most of the time, it was just quiet, a slow fade, calls that stopped getting returned, plans that kept getting canceled, until one day you realize you haven't talked to someone in 6 months and you're not even sure why. And I sit there wondering, what did I do wrong? Was I not a good enough friend? Did I say something? Did I forget something important? I drove myself crazy trying to figure it out. But here's what I've learned after 7 decades on this planet. Most friendships aren't meant to last forever. And that's not because you failed. It's not because you weren't good enough. It's not because there's something wrong with you. It's just because that's how life works. People come into your life for a reason, for a season, or for a lifetime. And most people, they're season friends. They're there for a chapter of your life. They serve a purpose. They teach you something. They share a particular journey with you. And then the chapter ends, the season changes, and it's time to move on. Now, our culture doesn't teach us this. We're taught that if a friendship ends, something went wrong. Someone's to blame. It's a failure. But that's not true. Sometimes a friendship ends simply because you grew in different directions. And that's okay. That's natural. That's how it's supposed to be. The problem is we're not prepared for it. So when it happens, we take it personally. We think we did something wrong. We carry guilt and confusion and pain that we were never meant to carry. Let me tell you a story. When I was in my early 20s, I had a best friend named Danny. We met working construction together, spent every day side by side, pouring concrete, framing houses, talking about everything under the sun. We were tight, real tight. The kind of friendship where you don't even have to talk sometimes. You just know what the other person's thinking. We talked about starting our own business together someday. Talked about our kids growing up together. Made all these plans about how we'd grow old and still be sitting on each other's porches, drinking beer and telling stories. That's the friendship I thought I'd have forever. And then I got married. Danny was my best man. Stood right there next to me at the altar. I can still see him and that rented tux, grinning like an idiot. But after the wedding, things started to change. Not all at once, just gradually. My wife and I started building our life together. We moved to a different part of town. I took a job that paid better but had different hours. We had our first kid, and slowly, without really noticing it happening, Danny and I started drifting apart. I'd call him, he'd call me. But it got harder to find time. Our schedules didn't line up anymore. He was single, going out on weekends. I was home with a baby who wouldn't sleep. We'd make plans to get together, but something always came up. A sick kid, a work emergency, a wife who needed help with something. And then one day I realized we hadn't talked in 3 months. I remember calling him, feeling guilty, apologizing for not staying in touch, saying we needed to get together soon. He said, sure, yeah, let's do it. But we never did. And I carried that guilt for years. I'd see him around town occasionally. We'd wave, have an awkward 30-second conversation in the grocery store parking lot. But it wasn't the same. That friendship we'd had, that closeness, it was gone. And for the longest time, I thought it was my fault. I thought I'd failed him somehow, that I'd chosen my wife and kid over my best friend, that I should have tried harder, should have made more time. But here's what I understand now, looking back with 50 years of distance. That friendship ended because it was supposed to end, not because either of us did anything wrong, not because we stopped caring about each other, but because we were in different seasons of life. And the friendship we'd had, the one built on working together every day, on being single guys with all the time in the world, that friendship didn't fit anymore. I'd changed, he changed, our lives had changed. And trying to force that friendship to continue would have just made both of us miserable. That's a hard truth to accept, but it's the truth. Here's something I wish I'd understood when I was younger. Not every person who comes into your life is meant to stay in your life. Some people are there to teach you something. Some are there to help you through a particular challenge. Some are there to show you what you don't want. And when that lesson is learned, when that season is over, the friendship naturally comes to an end. There's this poem, I can't remember who wrote it, but it goes something like, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Most of the people in your life, they're reason or season friends. Reason friends are the people who show up at exactly the right time. They help you through something specific a difficult period at work, a breakup, a move to a new city. And once that reason is fulfilled, they move on. Or you move on. And that's okay. I had a friend like this when I was going through a really dark time in my 30s. Lost my job, was drinking too much, marriage was falling apart. This guy, I won't use his name, he showed up, started checking on me, made sure I was eating, talked me through some of the hardest conversations I've ever had. For about 6 months, he was my lifeline. And then I got back on my feet, got a new job, started putting my life back together, and our friendship just faded. Not because we had a fight, not because anyone did anything wrong. We just didn't have that same intense need for each other anymore. He had served his purpose in my life, and I had served mine in his. And that's okay. That's good, actually, because that friendship was there exactly when I needed it. Seasoned friends are the people you're close with during a particular chapter of your life. College friends, work friends, the parents you meet at your kid's school. You're tied with these people for a while. You see them all the time. You share things, you laugh together, you make memories, and then the season ends. You graduate, you change jobs, your kid moves up to middle school, and the friendship doesn't translate to the next season because it was built on that specific shared experience. And that's okay too. I had a whole group of guys I played softball with for about 10 years. We'd have beers after the game. Our families would do barbecues together. Good times. Then I hurt my knee and couldn't play anymore. And just like that, those friendships faded. Not because anyone was a bad person, but because the thing that brought us together, softball, was gone. Were they bad friends? Number. Were they seasoned friends? Yes. And that's the thing people don't understand. Seasoned friendships aren't less real just because they don't last forever. They're real in the moment. They matter in the moment. They add something to your life in the moment, but they're not meant to be permanent. And trying to make them permanent usually just leads to frustration and disappointment. Let me tell you something else I've learned. You don't need as many friends as you think you do. Our culture tells us the more friends you have, the better. The bigger your friend group, the more successful you are socially. You see it everywhere. TV shows with big groups of friends who all hang out together all the time. Social media where people brag about how many friends they have, how many people came to their party, how popular they are. And if you're someone who has a small circle, or worse, no circle, you feel like something's wrong with you. Let me tell you right now, that's nonsense. You know how many real, deep, true friends you need in life? Two, maybe three if you're lucky. That's it. Two or three people who really know you, who you can call at 3 in the morning when everything's falling apart, who stick around when things get hard, who tell you the truth even when you don't want to hear it. Everything else is just acquaintances. And acquaintances are fine. They're nice to have, but they're not the same as friends. I'm 73 years old. I've been on this earth for 7 decades. I've met thousands of people, worked with hundreds, spent significant time with dozens. And you know how many people I'd call true friends? Two. One is a guy named Tom I met about 40 years ago. We worked on the ranch together. He's the kind of guy who, if I called him right now and said I needed help, he'd drop everything and be here. No questions asked, and I'd do the same for him. The other is my brother in law, Frank, married my sister. We didn't get along at first, to be honest. But over the years, through family gatherings and helping each other move and being there through hard times, we became real friends. The kind who can sit in silence together and it's comfortable. That's it. Two people. And you know what? That's enough. Because real friendship, deep, true friendship, takes work, takes time, takes energy, takes vulnerability. You can't have that with 50 people. You can't even have it with 10 people. You can have it with a handful if you're lucky. And that's okay. In fact, it's better than okay. It's how it's supposed to be, quality over quantity, every single time. Now let's talk about the hard part. Sometimes friendships don't just naturally fade. Sometimes you have to actively end them. And that's one of the most painful things you'll ever have to do. I had a friend, let's call him Mike, who I knew for about 20 years. We went through a lot together, good times and bad times. He was there when my first kid was born. I was there when he got divorced. But over the years, something changed. Mike got bitter, angry at the world, started drinking more, started blaming everyone else for his problems. And every time I was around him, I left feeling drained, exhausted, like he'd sucked all the energy out of me. But I kept showing up because that's what friends do, right? You stick around, you don't give up on people. Until one day I realized this friendship isn't good for me anymore. It's not good for him either, because I'm enabling his behavior by not confronting it. So I had to make a choice, and I chose to step back. I didn't make a big announcement, didn't have a dramatic confrontation. I just created distance, stopped returning every call, started being less available, let the friendship fade on my terms instead of letting it drag me down. And man, that was hard. I felt guilty, felt like I was abandoning him, felt like a bad friend. But you know what I learned? Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for the other person is to let go. Because some friendships become toxic, they become one sided, they become draining instead of life giving. And you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. You can't fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. And you can't maintain a friendship with someone who's only taking and never giving. At some point, you have to protect your own peace, your own mental health, your own life. And if that means letting a friendship go, then that's what you do. Now, how do you know when it's time to let a friendship go? Here are some signs. 1. You dread seeing them. If the thought of spending time with someone makes you anxious or tired, that's a problem. 2. They only reach out when they need something. If the friendship is one-sided, you're always the one giving and they're always the one taking. That's not a friendship. That's a transaction. 3. They don't respect your boundaries. If you've told someone something bothers you and they keep doing it anyway, they're telling you they don't care about your feelings. 4. They bring more negativity than positivity into your life. Every friendship should add something to your life. If someone is constantly complaining, constantly creating drama, constantly bringing you down, that's not good for you. 5. You can't be yourself around them. Real friendship means you can be who you are without pretending. If you're always walking on eggshells or putting on a mask, that's exhausting. If you're nodding your head to any of these, it might be time to let that friendship go. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's going to hurt. It's going to feel like a loss. You might feel guilty. You might second guess yourself. But on the other side of that, pain is peace, is freedom, is space for relationships that actually add to your life instead of taking from it. So if most friendships don't last and you only need a few real friends, what does real friendship actually look like? Let me tell you, real friendship is mutual. Both people are putting in effort. Both people are showing up. Both people care about the other person's well being. It's not 50-50 all the time. Sometimes it's 70-30, sometimes it's 20-80, depending on what's going on in each person's life. But over time, it balances out. If you're always the one reaching out, always the one making plans, always the one checking in, that's not mutual and it's not sustainable. Real friendship is honest. Real friends tell you the truth, even when it's hard, even when you don't want to hear it. I remember when I was about 40, going through a rough patch, drinking too much, making bad decisions. My friend Tom pulled me aside one day and said, "Joe, you're messing up. And I love you too much to watch you destroy your life without saying something." That hurt, but it was also exactly what I needed to hear. That's what real friends do. They don't just tell you what you want to hear, they tell you what you need to hear. Real friendship accepts you. Real friends see your flaws, your mistakes, your bad days, and they stick around anyway. They don't try to fix you. They don't try to change you into who they think you should be. They just accept you as you are. That doesn't mean they don't challenge you or push you to grow. But there's a difference between challenging someone because you want them to be better and trying to change someone because you don't like who they are. Real friendship shows up when things get hard, when life falls apart, when you lose your job, when someone you love dies. Real friends show up. They don't just send a text that says, "thinking of you." They show up at your door with food. They sit with you in silence. They help you move when your marriage ends. They drive you to the hospital at 2 in the morning. Fair weather friends are there for the good times. Real friends are there for the hard times. Real friendship is comfortable. With a real friend, you can sit in silence and it's not awkward. You can be yourself without pretending. You can have hard conversations without worrying that they're going to abandon you. You don't have to perform. You don't have to be on. You can just be. That's rare. And it's precious. If you have even one friendship like that, you're lucky. If you have 2 or 3, you're blessed beyond measure. Here's the thing about friendships ending, it's going to hurt. Even if you know it's the right thing, even if you know it's natural, even if you know you're growing in different directions, it's still going to hurt. Because when you invest in someone, when you share your life with them, your thoughts, your time, your heart, and then they're gone, there's a loss there. And you need to grieve that loss. Our culture doesn't teach us how to grieve friendships. We know how to grieve when someone dies. We know how to grieve when a marriage ends. But when a friendship ends, we're supposed to just move on. Like it didn't matter. Like it wasn't real, but it was real and it did matter. And it's okay to be sad about it. I've cried over lost friendships, sat on this porch at night, drinking whiskey, wondering where I went wrong with someone I cared about. And that's okay. That's human. Let yourself feel it. Don't try to push it down or pretend it doesn't hurt. But also don't stay stuck in it. Because here's what I want you to understand: a friendship ending doesn't erase what it was. All those good times you had, they still happened. They still mattered. They're still part of your story. The fact that someone isn't in your life anymore doesn't mean they weren't important. Doesn't mean the friendship wasn't real. It just means the chapter is over. And that's okay. I look back on friendships I had 20, 30, 40 years ago, and I'm grateful for them. Even the ones that ended badly, even the ones that hurt, because they taught me something, they shaped me. They were part of my journey. And just because they're not in my life now doesn't diminish what they were then. So if you're mourning a friendship that ended, let me say this: it's okay to be sad. It's okay to miss them. It's okay to wish things had turned out differently. But also know this: you're going to be okay. The pain will fade, the wound will heal, and you'll move forward. And who knows, maybe somewhere down the line your paths will cross again. Maybe you'll reconnect. Maybe you won't. Either way, you'll be okay. So let me bring this home. I've lived long enough to see friendships come and go, to see relationships that I thought would last forever fade away, to realize that the people I thought were essential in my 20s aren't even in my life in my 70s. And you know what? I'm okay with that because I've learned something important. It's not about how many friends you have or how long they stay. It's about the quality of the friendships while they're here. Did you show up for each other? Did you laugh together? Did you support each other? Did you make each other's lives better? If the answer is yes, then that friendship mattered, even if it's over now. And here's what else I've learned: trying to hold on to friendships that are meant to end will make you miserable. Trying to force a connection that's no longer there. Trying to keep someone in your life who doesn't want to be there. Trying to maintain something that's already dead. That's exhausting. And it keeps you from moving forward. Keeps you from finding new connections that are meant for this season of your life. So let go. Let people go when it's time. Not with bitterness, not with anger, but with gratitude for what was and acceptance of what is. Focus your energy on the few people who are really there, the ones who show up, the ones who stay, the ones who see you and love you anyway. Those are the friendships worth investing in. Those are the ones that will carry you through. You don't need 100 friends. You don't need to be popular. You don't need everyone to like you. You need 2 or 3 people who really know you. That's it. And if you have that, if you have even one person in your life who you can really talk to, who really sees you, who really cares, then you have everything you need. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Most of your friendships aren't going to last forever. And that's okay. That's natural. That's how life works. Some people are in your life for a reason, some for a season, very few for a lifetime. And all of them have something to teach you. Stop feeling guilty when friendships end. Stop thinking you failed. Stop carrying around the weight of every relationship that didn't work out. Sometimes people grow apart. Sometimes life takes you in different directions. Sometimes a friendship runs its course, and that's okay. What matters is that you show up fully while they're there, that you're real with them, that you care about them, that you make the most of whatever time you have together. And then, when it's time to let go, you let go with gratitude, with grace, with an open hand instead of a clenched fist. Focus on qualities, not quantity. Invest in the few instead of spreading yourself thin, trying to please everyone. Find your people, your two or three, the ones who really see you, the ones who stick around when things get hard, and let everyone else be who they are, where they are, without needing them to be more than that. That's the secret to peace in relationships. Not trying to make everyone your best friend, not trying to hold on to everyone forever, but accepting people for who they are, for as long as they are there, and then releasing them when it's time. I'm 73 years old. I've got my wife. I've got Tom. I've got Frank. That's my circle. And you know what? It's enough. More than enough. Because at the end of the day, it's not about how many people show up to your funeral. It's about whether you loved well, whether you showed up for the people who mattered, whether you were real and present and true. Do that with a few people, and you've lived a good life. So stop worrying about all the friendships that didn't last. Stop feeling guilty about the people who aren't in your life anymore. Let them go and focus on the ones who are still here, the ones who matter, the ones who stay. That's where the real richness of life is found. All right, that's all I've got for you today. I'm going to pour myself another cup of coffee and sit out here a while longer. Watch the sun come up over the hills. Maybe light another cigar. And I hope you'll take what I've shared with you today and sit with it. Think about it. Let it sink in. And maybe if you're carrying around guilt or pain about friendships that ended, you'll find a way to let that go. You deserve peace. You deserve to focus your energy on the relationships that actually add to your life. And you deserve to stop carrying the weight of everyone who walked away. Let them go, wish them well, and move forward. Take care of yourself and remember, you're going to be okay. You really are. I'll see you in the next one.